Hey, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the Writer's Bookshelf. Today we've got another book for you. If you're a writer and you like to read books and you like to write books, well, this is the perfect channel for you, perfect series for you, and today's the perfect video for you. And with that note, let's go ahead and take a look at today's book, which is The Writer's Idea, Thesaurus. And yes, I had to just peek at the title because I can't remember what it was actually called. It's by Fred White, who I don't actually know, but he had ideas and he made a book based on his ideas. So what this book actually is, this is actually one I'd never really planned to cover, if I'm honest. Because I don't typically go for these idea style books. I like the books where you have you already have your idea and you just want to learn how to put it together and keep going on with your day and create a book that hopefully you'll be able to sell. But let's be honest, sometimes we do hit that point where we want to write something, but we're not sure what we want to write or what's good or what's unique or anything like that. And so what Fred White did is he had a list of these ideas that he had come up with, wherever, like whether he's on a walk or in bed or whatever. And just ideas that he thought were interesting enough to kind of write down. And he ended up over several years coming up with about 2,000 different ideas. And these were all ideas clearly he wasn't going to do himself, but they were ideas that he thought were worth remembering for whatever reason, and he ended up making a book about it. And Writer's Digest picked it up, and here we are. We got this nicely published thing. And essentially, the way it's set up is you have 20 chapters. I'll just show you the usual contents here. Oops. Sorry. So yeah, you have the usual contents, and you'll see that each section is broken up by a particular category. So for example, chapter 1 is called The Adventures of X, and X being whatever your character is. And then what it does is it breaks down 10 more different ideas within that category. So for example, chapter 1, part 1 is Adventures in an Alternate Universe or Reality. 2 would be Aviation Adventures. 3 would be Adventures of Defectors, Deserters, Mutineers, and so on. And you just keep going down the list. And then within each particular section, you're going to have situations. So if we want to look at, for example, category 3, Adventures of Defectors, Deserters, and Mutineers. Okay, we see that. You see each one's got a different series of situations. And so the situation 1, for example, would be a long-suffering laborer leads other workers in a massive strike in sweatshops in their city, but the sweatshop managers retaliate. Not to be deterred, the protagonist, the most experienced of the employees, finds a unique way to convey her fellow workers' needs to the owners and the public. That's one. And then you have another situation where, let's say, we'll do number 4. A defector from a totalitarian country is given asylum in the United States, but he's actually a spy who plans to sabotage a secret NSA mission. During the mission, however, he has second thoughts. So that's another example of a situation that maybe you might find interesting enough to write about. And what's interesting about this book is it's not simply about premises, because whenever we start a book, we want to think about what is the premise that we're trying to work with. Well, it doesn't have to necessarily be about the premise. It can also be about something that happens in the book that you find is worth making a scene out of. So that's one thing he mentions in the book, is you can actually take one situation and chain it with another, and so you end up having multiple things happening in a single story that would keep your reader captivated. So I mean, there's 2,000 of these things. Here's another example coming out of Journey or Pilgrimage to X, which is, I'm not even sure what chapter that is, but it's under category 8, Journey into the Past or the Future. And so one thing you'll take note is that each section's got its own little gray box here that defines what this is about. So the journey into the past or the future would be journeying into the past to change terrible events slated to happen, or into the future to escape terrible events is a popular plotline in fiction. Whether or not it's actually possible does not deter writers from bringing up exciting stories like these. So you have situation 1. A sociologist travels 50 years into the future to get some idea of where humanity is heading. Trends she hoped would evolve have not, and vice versa. She must return to the present to prevent ominous trends from flourishing. Okay. Situation 4, bent on wreaking havoc with U.S. history, a criminal mastermind hauls an arsenal of high-tech weapons back to the Revolutionary War, intending to instruct the British how to use them. Time detective goes after him. I actually had an idea similar to that. And that's something else that's interesting is, you'll find that a lot of the ideas in here you might have actually thought of yourself once upon a time, because they do connect to things that we've seen, things that maybe have been sparked by the imagination from some other resource. And so that there's a familiarity in the way these work. So really the whole point of the writer's idea Thesaurus is to just get some idea, something that sparks your imagination enough that maybe you can develop a scene or a plot line around that. If you find that you're stuck with your current work in progress and you're not sure like how to get past that stuckness, again, you can open up the writer's ideas and think that, okay, well, here's a thought. Maybe the billionaire CEO of the genetic engineering company is abducted. Uh-oh. Well, the abductor's demand is not for money, but for changing the company's policies regarding the patenting of certain genetically engineered substances. Refusing to comply, the CEO plans to escape with the help of the unlikely ally. The part about him escaping sounds great. The part about him getting abducted sounds great. The thing that they don't want, with the money, I mean, maybe it depends on what the policy is. And this is where your imagination would start to fly. Like, well, what would be the policy that these people would want changed? Like, what is it? Something nefarious? Is it something that's a good policy and they don't like good policies? What is the catalyst here? So, again, it's just it starts the imagination. It doesn't necessarily finish it, but it gives you a springboard in which to follow through. And then, of course, like any good book, it will tell you how to use this. So in the first chapter, it's just going to go through the examples of what you might do in order to maximize the potential of the book. But that's really all it is. It's just once you get past that first really short chapter, you go headlong into the categories, and then you just, if you have a particular one that you want to look for, you look for the category of interest and just drill down. So it's pretty straightforward and easy. Again, I'm not a big fan of investing in these kinds of books or using them or even recommending them, because I do think that part of the fun of writing is having the imagination already there. But in fairness, it's really easy to follow along the low-hanging fruit. If we've seen it 1,000 times, we're probably going to automatically default to that thinking. And so it might be nice to have something to sort of push us away from that generic thinking every so often, just to get a little bit of a bump in ideas. And what's interesting is I wish I had bookmarked it. I knew I was going to forget. But one of the ideas that was in here is actually something that I used for my book ideas generator years later, about an Antarctic spy. Like, I thought I was coming up with something interesting. Well, actually, it was in chapter 1 of this book too, so I found that interesting. So it's really, you'll find that you have a lot in common with people. So the ideas that do spark, it's something that it's interesting enough that others will probably have thought about it, or maybe that it circled their brain, which is not a bad thing, because that shows that it's an interesting topic if it's something they've given any thought about at all. So anyway, I recommend it. It's a good way to get started if you're having trouble. Obviously, if you're prolific, or if you've already got your ideas banked full and you can't fit in anymore, this book will probably not be for you, especially at $20. And it's kind of older at this point. I think it came out in 2014. As usual, when I found it, it was years past the original publication date. But anyway, I thought it would still be useful to share with you guys if it's something that you wanted to take advantage of. There's no craft here. There's no it's not going to hold your hand on anything. It's literally just like, what can I do to spark my imagination today? And it's a thesaurus. So yeah, if you're having trouble getting started, definitely consider it. If you're writing a scene, you're not sure where to go from there, maybe a new idea will help you move in a new direction. You don't want tangents. You don't want unbelievable things to happen. It's got to fit your story. So that's, again, where the benefit of going by the chapter titles comes in play, because maybe you don't want an adventure. Maybe what you'd rather have is a discovery, or a descent or an escape. So these are the areas where you could search. And the other thing too is, if you have, let's say, like a roulette table, or like a hat, like I've got on my head, that's full of slips of other ideas. you could take the basic premise or the construction of the idea, but change the wording. Instead of it being like the genetic scientist who's kidnapped, maybe it's the genetic scientist's wife. Maybe that she has no control over the policies of the lab, but because she's the leverage, maybe the geneticist now has to, go a little beyond his will in order to make sure that she's safe. But of course, he's not going to change the plan. He's got to just figure out how to make the kidnapper think he's changed the plan. So these are a number of things that might spark just from your imagination. So you're not limited to what Mr. Fred White says. You're basically using his prompts as a jumping off point to come up with something of your own. So that said, I'm almost done here, but I do want to remind you guys, I do have a little device on my website called the Book Ideas Generator. If you go to my website, you can scroll down to the bottom of the homepage to find it. It's pretty easy. What it is, it's a Kanban board. If you're not familiar with a Kanban, it's where developers or site owners, whoever, they can send out little snippets of product features to give to their audience to get them updated on what's coming out. And of course, users can click on the little tabs, and it'll open up a board, and it'll give them an opportunity to check out in more detail. I have one of these Kanban boards from a company called LoopDen, and I have the Book Ideas Generator is using this system where you, as a reader, if you're a reader, can post your ideas for a writer to develop, or if you're a writer, you can post your ideas that you want to write and see if there's any interest in it, and so people can upvote it. Right now, very few people know about it. I've tried advertising it, but because my reach is still limited, not many have really appeared in it, and I think I'm the one who's actually contributed. I want to get this thing built up. I'd like people to use it. So I will put a link in the description below if you are willing to check it out, and maybe post an idea or two, maybe vote on one, just to get some momentum into it. But it's another way you can extend your ideas base. If if you don't find what you're looking for in this book or a book like it, and you're still struggling for ideas, go to the Book Ideas Generator and see what's posted, and see if any of that sparks an idea. But the whole purpose of it isn't even really to exchange ideas as much as it is to see which ideas are popular, because part of the book industry is a crapshoot. Like, no one really knows it's going to sell, and part of it is because no one really knows what people want to read, because no one asks. And the purpose of the Book Ideas Generator was to give people a forum to say what they want to read, and give writers an opportunity to know what readers are interested in, and see if that fits within their wheelhouse. Obviously, if you're a romance writer and somebody's asking for a thriller involving yetis, that might not be your book. That might be something more for the thriller writers who like to dabble into the supernatural. But it doesn't mean that there won't be something there for you. Maybe somebody will recommend a romantic story about a energy drink developer who meets an anti-energy drink activist, who believes in water only. I don't know, it could happen. So this is a good place, again, to exchange ideas and to vote on them. And the way it's supposed to work is any writer who wants to tackle an idea would just put a note in the comments, say, I'm going to take this, and then I would move it into a section that shows which ideas are actually being worked on by somebody. And then you would leave your website information so people can go follow your updates and all that. So that's sort of what that's for. So again, if you're interested in something like that, visit the site, add your ideas, or vote on the ones you like, or take notes of which ones are popular. Tell your audiences about them, so that if you have readers, they can come and tell you what they want through the Kanban board, because there's a place where you can post ideas. And I have a video, I'll link that too, that shows you how to use it. So I was going to do a separate video and kind of attach it to this one, but it's just as easy to go and click on the link that shows you how to actually use it. And it's 20 minutes, I think. So give it a look. I mean, if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. But if it's something you do want to contribute to or take advantage of, that's why it's there. And I do hope you guys will use it. And again, don't let old dates intimidate you. It'll become active once you all contribute. Okay, that's really how it works. It's gonna appear dead, depending on when you view this, but it doesn't mean it has to be dead. Just post an update. Tell your audience about it. So you have them go vote on it if they like it and see what the numbers are. And that's how you get people to respond to it. And if they share if they tell their friends about it, if you get a network going, eventually it'll get big enough to where it actually will do the job and be a place where people can exchange ideas. So I really hope you guys will take advantage of that. There's a couple of ways to use it. You can go directly to my site, or you can click on the roadmap site where it's actually hosted, which will probably be easier for most of you, to be honest, because you won't have any of the framing obstructions. But either way, it'll be worth it, I think. So check it out. Anyway, that's today's book, Writer's Ideas, Thesaurus. I'm doing my season 3 videos a little out of order because I'm going to be doing videos based on what I've already read. And other books I haven't read yet may appear first. I don't know. So I don't actually know what's coming next week because I probably haven't read it yet, or I haven't bought it yet. I don't know. But nevertheless, show up next week. We'll have a new one again, Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern. At some point, I may split these episodes up to bi-weekly, depending on viewership and just current needs. So just be aware that if you ever see a week missing, I might be trying something new with scheduling where I might be doing it every other week instead of every week. It's something I have been thinking about possibly doing, not because I feel like it has to be done, but I think it's, let's be honest, if you guys actually buy these books, you're going to want time to read them. And I think doing them every week, it can be intimidating for some. And I would rather, make this easy on you guys if you do want to follow along and be respectful of your budgets and all of that. So it's something I'm considering. I haven't decided for sure yet, but I just want to make that note since we're early in the season that might happen. So if you come on a Friday and there's no episode, it doesn't mean there isn't one coming. It just means I might be skipping a week in order to do a bi-weekly test to see how that goes. So anyway, that's all for today. That's plenty. There's not much to say. It's an idea book. So check it out and let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all the things YouTubers tell you to do. If you have ideas for books you want me to cover, please leave a comment in the chat. If you want to get these numbers up and get more people to also learn how to write well, send them to this channel and send them to this series. I could definitely use more views. I'm sure you've looked at the view counts of some of the recent videos, and it's not great. I would definitely like to see this go up more, so if you want to share these videos with your networks, I would really appreciate it. But again, you do what you want. Ultimately, I'm going to keep doing these because I do think they're useful to whoever watches them, and they were useful to me. So I would like to think that it's helpful to someone. Anyway, that's it for today, and come back either next week or in 2 weeks, depending on what my plan ends up being, and we'll see what we're going to cover. And that's it for today. Have a good one. Thanks. Bye.